may. Each and every one of you is a gift and a privilege to us. And it is magnificent to be able to gather together with you. We have such a jam-packed program and activities, but also remember how much of a gift and a privilege and a blessing you are to every single one of your neighbors. The education and the activities that we engage in together are going to be fantastic. The gifts that our God gives us through His Word that proclaim not only the sanctity of our lives, but the sanctity of all of our neighbors' lives are irreplaceable. But perhaps the greatest gift that we receive is the relationships that we form with one another. Because what Lutherans for Life is all about is sharing life with everybody that God puts into your path. So thank you so much for being here. I want to remind you of our theme for the conference, Fearfully and Wonderfully Made, which you all know comes to us from Psalm 139. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. And if I can say that with a clear conscience, then every one of you can say that as well, and God extends that through His Word to every member of the human race. I want to recognize a couple of our high-level sponsors. Our yacht sponsor is Issues, Etc., and I believe they have a display table as well. No, they don't. So you're going to have to look up Issues, Etc. online and connect to their wonderful programming and resources that they have for you as well. Can you clap for them? Well done, Issues, Etc. Our kayak level sponsor is Lutherans for Life of Michigan. So delighted for the partnership with Lutherans for Life of Michigan, and they cordially and enthusiastically invite you in a couple of weeks to join them outside of their state capital in Lansing in early November for their first ever March for Life in the state of Michigan. So let our voice be known, and that segues very nicely into me being able to tell you about the exciting things that we have planned coming up in the months ahead of us as Lutherans for Life. We have a great deal of momentum. It's a good time to be Lutherans for Life, not only because sanctity of life issues are very high profile in our culture right now, which gives us the opportunity as gospel-motivated voices to show how situations like surprise pregnancy and terminal diagnosis connect directly to Holy Scripture and Lutheran doctrine. That gives us an excuse to speak and show the gospel of Jesus Christ, which is what we are all about. But Lutherans for Life is growing. We are expanding. Over the course of the last handful of years, we have doubled our budget and our activities. We have doubled our staff, and that's all thanks to your wonderful support. This is an opportunity for us to give thanks to one another for what has been achieved over the course of the last 45 years that our organization has been in existence. You have done a fantastic job faithfully delivering to successive generations our gospel motivation for the sanctity of life, and we are beginning to see that bear really abundant fruit. I want to call your attention to a couple of exciting things to keep your eyes peeled for. One of those is a special conference on Lutheran involvement in adoption in the United States. That's going to be taking place in April in Houston, and we are going to have publicity coming out about that before too long. We're partnering together with Lutheran Family Service of Iowa and Christian Life Resources, which is our analogous friend in the Wisconsin Synod. We've all come together, working together to put on this conference for a couple of days in Houston to talk about the need for Lutherans to be active in adopting, as well as why we are motivated to be involved in that. We also have a special conference directed primarily towards youth, but also inviting adult constituents to be a part of. That's also taking place in April, but it's going to be in Southern California, and that conference will focus on issues of gender and sexuality, which you all know is a life issue of very high relevance and urgency that you're having to deal with in your own families and communities, and we have some wonderful gospel-motivated education and guidance to give with regard to that. Something else you should keep your eyes peeled for is a Lutheran academic journal about the sanctity of life. So we are partnering with, Lutherans For Life is partnering with the Institute of Lutheran Theology out of South Dakota. They are an independent Lutheran institution of higher education, and they're helping to provide some of the work and the infrastructure. Early next year, we will be launching this academic journal. We have some really wonderful Lutheran scholars who have agreed to serve as editorial consultants for that journal project. It's going to be the sort of thing that's going to be offered to university libraries, seminary libraries, as well as to individual readers as well. So to engage at a really intense academic level, the ideas of the sanctity of life and what Scripture has to teach in the Western Christian philosophical tradition on ethics, what it has to offer to our present-day world's conversations about the sanctity of life. So keep your eyes peeled for that. We also have in the works a learning management system. Anybody have any idea what that might refer to at all? Do you have any familiarity with learning management systems? Some of you, thank you. I love the crowd participation, it's fantastic. He's a plant, actually. Yeah, he's on the payroll. Yeah, a learning management system is that web portal that is responsible for some of your educational courses, some of your trainings for some of the places that you work. We have a contract with a learning management system that we have entered into after vetting several different providers, and we're going to be making some of our content available by that learning management system so that you don't always have access to a Lutherans For Life conference or educational event in your community, but you can have access to some of our courses, some of our content training about a variety of life issues and activism opportunities as well. So that's just a small sampling of things that we've got in the works. We're super excited to be with you today, not just me, but our entire staff. And now you're going to have the opportunity to meet some of them in person. So I'm going to invite Pastor Scott Licht, our Chief Financial Officer and Chief Operating Officer, to come forward and share a little bit about what he's got overseeing at Lutherans For Life.
Okay, I'm going to defer a little bit of my time. Maybe you've noticed the painting in front of me. This is an actual painting, and we have the honor of having the artist with us this evening. So I'm going to yield a little bit of my time to Jeff Bolzman here to tell you the story behind this painting.
I wasn't planning on doing this tonight, but I welcome the opportunity. This wasn't supposed to happen like this. My wife is a midwife. We started out, we went to Concordia School together, and we got married, and we went to New York City and started teaching, and got blown out of the water. If anybody here has been a teacher, you understand when you're over your head. We ended up in Detroit, which seemed rather similar, and then we started having kids, and we decided that we were going to homeschool the kids. But being a Lutheran school teacher and homeschooling is kind of a strange combination, and some congregations don't really get to that. We ended up moving up to Millington, Michigan from Detroit, and Sandra, my wife, wanted 4 kids. I wanted 3 kids. We ended up with 9. We're not really good at that, I guess. But when we started homeschooling, we realized we were talking to these people, and they were saying children are a blessing. Children are a blessing. And we're going, children are a blessing. And after 3 or 4, I mean, we're like, this is really hard. They said, anything that causes you to pray is a blessing. Keep having them. And so we just said, all right, God, we're going to have as many kids as you give us. You're not supposed to probably pray like this, but I said, God, but you're going to have to clothe them. You're going to have to feed them. You're going to have to this on a teacher's salary. And you're going to have to educate them. And you're going to have to, and you realize real quickly that you're not in charge of things. All right, so it's kind of I'm not in charge. So we ended up with 9 children. Well, after the first 3 were born in a hospital, we had some kind of strange hospital experiences which weren't really super wonderful. So then my wife said, well, you know, we're homeschooling. What about home birth? Because we met these people who were home birthing. And I thought, that's crazy. And she says, yeah, but it would be really cool. And I said, I'm not ready for that. And so she said, well, what if we just have a nurse midwife? So we went to the hospital and we had a nurse midwife, and it went so much easier, so much better. It was like we had somebody kind of on our side, not just telling us what to do. And then we went from there to home birth, and I met this home birth, this lady who was a midwife. I didn't even really know what a midwife was. And she was really great. And she allowed me to catch the babies. So our last 5 babies were born at home. The kids would wake up in the morning and find a new baby brother or sister. I didn't have to go to the hospital. It was really cool. And then what happened from there is Saunders was asked by the midwife who worked with us if she would like to be a midwife. And our youngest was 2 at the time, and I said, absolutely not. Because by that time I was teaching in the public school, and God kind of moved me in that direction. And I said, we can't handle that. But then the opportunity again happened at 5, when our youngest was 5, and I said, all right, you're going to need a car, you're going to need this, you're going to need that. And so she started working on home birth as a midwife. Well, there's a story to this painting on how we get there. So now recently I retired from teaching. I taught for 40 years, and I was an art teacher. And so we converted one of our bedrooms. We added onto our house twice. And one of our bedrooms, and I had this piece of canvas that was 6 feet long, and so I went and built this stretcher frame, and I said, you need something in your office to show the ladies more of the development of what's happening with each month, because she meets with these ladies in our home. She's helped and assisted with over 600 births now over the last 15 years. Last year was 72 births, I believe. She's very busy. She's not here because there's a lady who's really close right now. There's always a lady who's really close. Never know when she's coming or going. So this happened, and so we kind of measured in the wall where this is going to go. So then I painted this and just kind of put the 9 months of development. I looked online, found some different pictures, some of my favorite things, a lot of babies sucking at home, just to show that this baby's real and alive, and we lived that, as you can tell. Then I went to this Issues Etc. conference, right? And I met some folks, and there was a Lutherans For Life table, so I walked over and I said, hey, I did this painting, do you want to use this? And the answer was, sure, send me an email. So I sent an email, wrote up a little description, said, well, maybe you want to use this in a brochure. I had no idea. This is huge. Wow. And then on the inside, the Word became flesh and dwelt among us even before Christmas. It's the life of Christ before he was born. Oh, that's awesome. When I was teaching 7th grade, we had a book. We used the Rebecca science book, and in there it showed the development of the babies month by month by month. There was a girl who came up to me, one of the girls in my class, and she said, you know what, if everybody could see what this baby looks like, where would it be in proportion? If they could just see. And I've always remembered that, so I thought, well, let's just let people see. So it's kind of happened, and then I thought, well, if there's going to be a conference, then I heard there's a conference, I listened to Issues Etc. all the time. Well, there's going to be a conference in Kentucky. Well, the Ark Encounter, and well, before that, we knew Ken Ham before there was a museum. We were in homeschooling. he came to the homeschoolers 30 years ago. And he was having a conference up in Saginaw, and we helped him come up. And I remember him being on the phone talking about this museum. He wanted to build this museum, and they kept moving the land on him, and he couldn't get the land, and he was so frustrated all the time. Well, then the museum ended up where it is now. And then he was talking about an ark. I thought that was crazy. He can't build an ark. But anyway, so this whole life and the whole creation, evolution, and all of that kind of all fits together in our lives, and that's kind of how this happened. So you can order these at CPAs. What I would like to see one of these in every school, every Lutheran school. There are over 1,000 Lutheran schools in America, and then one for the backside too, so that they can see this whole life of Christ. And then this little write-up, if you want to read about Sandra, I wrote this up. I had no idea that this was going to be published like that, and this is pretty cool. It's pretty amazing. So I took more time than I was probably supposed to take, but that's my story, and that's how this happened, and I'm thankful to be here. Thank you very much.
So I was the guy at the Issues Etc. conference, and that we connected, and it's so we talk about LFL update, and it's that's the update. Is God just brings these opportunities and connects people, and then we end up being blessed with something like this. And so I want you to know that we take seriously the charge that you've given us to be good stewards, but also to equip Lutherans and their neighbors to be gospel-motivated voices for life. And so there's an example of an opportunity that we were given that God just brought us together, and one thing leads to another. Next thing you know, Jeff's up here talking about it. I'm Scott Licht. Chief Financial Officer. Somebody earlier at the board meeting said, "You're the CFO? Is that what you CFO?" So, church or the Chief Financial Officer, Chief Operations Officer. I do the budget and the HR kinds of things and stuff like that. And since pastors only work on Sundays, I do serve a congregation on Sundays also. So and I get to do fun stuff like set up the tech stuff too. So I like doing that stuff. So that's me. The folks who run different departments within our organization will be talking about their specific units. We've gotten to the point now, can you believe we have almost 20 staff members now? God keeps growing the mission and keeps growing the opportunities that we have to serve people. And so we're now at this point where we have called directors, and so we have 5 directors, and they report to me, and then they have 3 or 4 people who report to each of them. So we're trying to set ourselves up for what God has in store for the next. So you're going to get to meet each of these different directors as we move forward. So all right. The first of those directors who we will get to meet is Michelle Bauman, the Director of Life for Life.
I'm going first. All right. Well, it is great to be here tonight. My name is Michelle Bauman. I am the Director of Life for Life, and service our youth, right? Help our youth, our high school and college youth become gospel-motivated voices for life. Before I tell you a little bit about Life for Life, though, I would be very remiss if I did not include those who are on my staff. So Corey Meyer, she is my full-time Life for Life assistant, and I do not believe she is here tonight. She brought her 2 babies with her, and so I believe she is playing the role of mom this evening. But definitely, if you have a chance tomorrow to stop by our table, I'm sure she'll be there for part of the time. She is a godsend. As Scott talked about, our departments have grown. Life for Life has grown, LFL has grown. and she has been an incredible blessing. I also have a part-time position that actually is in the process of being filled, but for the last 9 months was blessed also to work with Bonnie Poole. So some of the things I'll just mention, they certainly have helped shape Wife for Life in the last year in particular, and have been tremendous blessings to me. One of the goals of Wife for Life when I started was to get the message out there, right? That there is a youth organization. How many of you knew there was a youth organization at Lutherans For Life? Great! Some of you still have your hands up. Now you can join the masses, right? So one of the things that I've been trying to do is get out there quite a bit in the last few years. And this summer, in the last 90 days, we have done just that. So we have attended, Wife for Life has attended 9 conferences in the last 90 days. 3 of those have been youth conferences. 3 of them have been adult conferences. Getting the message out, and I know that it's working, and here's why. I have 2 sons. One who happens to be a junior at Concordia, Wisconsin. And he called me about 3 weeks in school. It was right after they had this club opportunity where incoming freshmen could come around and find out about all the different clubs. And my youngest son happens to help lead his life team at Concordia, Wisconsin. Super proud of Mom. Anyway, he calls me and he says, "Mom, you won't believe it. I had a bunch of kids come up and say, 'Is this a Wife for Life team?' And I thought, oh yes. And he goes, and 3 of them said, 'Do you know Michelle?' And of course my 19-year-old snarky son said, I think I know her. So it is exciting. We hope that you also will share the message that there is a youth branch for Lutherans for Life and encourage them to be involved. In addition to those different conferences that we've been to, we also have a social media presence. We've grown a lot in the last 90 days. In fact, over 200 more followers in the last 90 days, which is also very exciting on Instagram. But in addition, we have TikTok, we are on YouTube, we are on all these different social media platforms, bringing the message that life is sacred, life is valuable, because God has made life. And that's a message that needs to be stated in dark places. And certainly sometimes social media can be those places. So it is a wonderful opportunity to share that message. In addition, just in the last 90 days, we have had some fantastic opportunities to interact with churches and schools. We had a leadership retreat in Missouri just last month. September was like a boom month. I went on a week-long tour of Kansas. Thank you to Deb Steiner and to the Kansas Federation for hosting me. 12 different presentations in 5 days. It was exciting to interact with young people. So it's not just high school and college youth, but we're also talking to elementary school students through our Owens Mission program. So again, if you can share the message, we would appreciate it. We have lots of schools that are involved, high schools that have Wife for Life teams, as well as colleges. In fact, each of our Concordias has a Wife for Life team with the exception of one. And this year they're starting the club. So very exciting. We're hoping that by the end of this school year, we'll be able to say that every Concordia has a Wife for Life team. In addition, this fall, we've had 2 public universities reach out and ask if they can also learn about how to have a gospel-motivated voice on campus. So we're expanding in those directions as well. In addition to all that travel, in addition to all that travel with 2 assistants and an intern this summer, we did put together quite a few resources, and we'd love if you stop by the table, pick up some of our new child development or human development resources. We have a brand new resource on foster care. My intern this year had a passion for foster care. She is a member. Her family fosters, and she asked, "Can I write something about that?" So I helped her with that, and it is fantastic. Pick it up. In addition, we've been putting out some lesson plans for life, which are lesson plans that high school teachers can use in their classroom to talk about life issues, as well as Wife for Life kits that churches can use with their youth. So stop by the table, please. Those are free. Pick some of those things up. In addition to all of that, we have been trying very hard to increase our presence locally. And so we've been working on Y for Life in Washington, D.C., prepping for that, and I have a story to share with you in just a minute about that. But last year, we went up to over 350 youth joined us in Washington, D.C., and we are hoping for the same this year. In addition, we have a Y for Life Summit in February that's happening in Nebraska. That is open to all high school and college students, and it is free. So if you are connected with high school and college students, let them know. There's a flyer on our table, pick it up. We have 2 other brand new additional conferences that will be local, and Pastor Salemink mentioned one of them, which is our Y for Life gender conference called Hope for Healing. And Pastor Brian Barlow, who is going to be speaking at this conference, has helped me plan that. He has some experience with that background, and we are so excited to bring the message that Christ does redeem sex and sexuality and gender, and we have much hope for that healing. In addition, we will have an apologetics retreat, our very first one in April. That will take place in Oklahoma. So April, you should please pray for me. It's a busy month. That will be a wonderful time. In addition to those things, we have some highlights I want to share with you, and then I will be done. In the last 90 days, we have opened up a store. So if you go to yforlife.org and you click on our Y for Life store, we have loads of Y for Life and pro-life swag that we would love for you to take a look at, including some things that are coming up for Life Week. Our drawing at our table will be for one of those items. Those are direct ship items, so you don't have to wait. When you get that, we'll process it within 24 hours and it will be sent your way. In addition, we've been working very hard to get some grant money. With growth comes a need for finances. And one of my assistants has been working on some of that grant writing. I'm excited to share that the Bollock Foundation has awarded us a grant to cover the college leadership retreat in April to the amount of $15,000. And the final highlight that I want to share with you is just an increase in participation and interest. All of our Y for Life teams, especially at the collegiate level, are growing. So much so that I have a challenge for you. So Concordia, Nebraska, in fact all of the Concordias, typically send some students to Y for Life in Washington, D.C. And those that come regularly, they bring somewhere between 5 and maybe 35 students. But this fall, Concordia, Nebraska had their call-out meeting, and 107 students came and signed up for Y for Life in Washington, D.C. But here's the challenge I have for you. Nebraska, the Nebraska Federation, does a fantastic job of supporting the youth that come to Washington, D.C. every single year. They give a scholarship. And they were prepared to give that scholarship again this year. Or about, 30 people or fewer. So now we have 107 students who want to come. And so the Federation, Nebraska Federation, is raising funds for those students. They would like to provide that scholarship for every single student that wants to come. This is definitely an inspirational opportunity, a God moment, when the people of God can respond. And so I would ask you to think about being one of those sponsors. Their goal is to send each student and provide a $200 scholarship that covers part of the cost of their transportation. So if you're interested in participating, please send money, a check, to Lutherans For Life with the memo, Bulldogs for Life, and we will transfer that money to the Nebraska Federation. Finally, I want to thank you. Thank you for being voices for life. Thank you for sharing the message of Y for Life with others and for encouraging your youth to be involved. And thank you for answering the call so many times when Lutherans For Life has asked for your support for special projects and for other things. You have made a difference in the lives of many. Thank you.
You may not realize this, but Y for Life is the nation's second largest student sanctity of life group. Isn't that fantastic? The only group larger is Students for Life of America, which you're all familiar with. So to have the Lutherans have such a footprint in that marketplace is remarkable. It's a testimony not only to the wonderful work that Michelle and her team do, and the rest of Lutherans for Life organization, but also that you have done in raising your families and advocating to successive generations about the sanctity of life. Our next team member is our Director of Volunteer Relations, Virginia Flo. She's going to talk to you a little bit about that department, which helps support our community activism efforts.
When you have 2 knee replacements, walking up steps without a railing is really challenging. Right, Dr. Lamb? Volunteer relations. We've been doing this now for about 1.5 years, thereabouts, and it's a new concept. It isn't that we weren't doing the same similar work before, but we now have a team that focuses on it. And our team isn't here tonight, but that's okay. I'm here. I'll talk for them. And our team member, one of them is in our wonderful state of Texas, even though the Astros come from there and I'm from Minnesota. And we wouldn't know they came from Texas. Anyway, Dr. Barbara Geistfeld, who is our team member down in Texas, happens to be in Madagascar right now with her husband. They planned this trip, I guess, long before we planned this trip. So we're happy that she's there. And we've been doing a ton of interviewing. I personally interviewed 12 people in the last few weeks, and we have now reduced it down to 3 wonderful candidates, and we hope to be adding another person to our staff really, really soon. Any one of them would be great for this role. Our job is to work with the front lines. And many of you are out there right now in the front lines. If you're in a state federation, if you are a life chapter, if you're a life team, if you are a life advocate, if you're pastor of a church and a congregation, you might have an opportunity to work with the volunteer relations team because you're all volunteering and there's a need to help you and to give you the encouragement that you need. We're really excited that in this past year we have 2 new life chapters that are starting in our country. Starting a life chapter, if you've done it, is not an easy task. It's developing a 501c3 status, it's having a constitution, it's having a board of directors, it's financially being independent, and so we have a new one that has just got their constitution approved and they're now functioning. They're called the Treasure Valley Life Chapter up in Nampa, Idaho, in the northern part of the country. There's a number of churches that have gotten together. It's just exciting. You know, when you have these new volunteers that are out there working for life, there's excitement. It's really fun, and it's so rewarding to be able to be the one and the team that works with them. We've got many life teams that have now started. I can't even name them all because we've got quite a few of them. And then this past, and as soon as all of them get certified, we'll be publishing, because what they do is they go through the training program, which we are going to be including in our online training system going forward. So when you become a new life team, and we're going to look to the future of doing that with life chapters and life advocates as well, because the tool is exciting. That's where Pastor Licht really shines. He is our technology guru. He researched and found the absolute best tool. I'd like to think the rest of us had some input and had something to say about it, but he had all the answers before we even had the questions. So that's wonderful. Life Advocate is something that we really promoted this past year. It used to be called a Life Ministry Coordinator, but they're doing more than just coordinating things. They're advocating in their churches. And that can just be one person that volunteers to be a representative of Lutherans for Life in their congregation. And so we're excited. We came up with a program that they can follow. And we've had quite a number of people this last year show interest and actually sign up to be a life advocate. And so we're happy. We have about maybe 35 now life advocates. We're in that 75 going to 80 group. We've sold a lot more life team training kits than that, but we're waiting for people to finish their training. But we have that many life teams out there from us in that high 70 range. And we have over 90 life chapters across the country. And these are folks that have been doing this a long time. How many of you in the room are part of one of those three groups? I know I recognize quite a few of them. I see the folks over there from Fargo that I mistakenly said were from Minnesota earlier, but that's because they're so close to us. What was that, Mr. Astro? Houston. Yeah, we know you're from Houston. We just let you win today so that we can have another game. Two more games. And so we're excited about the front lines. One of the things that we decided early on was that many people have been doing this for many years. One of the things that we hear a lot of is, we've been doing this now 30 years, 35 years, and we're getting old and we're getting tired. I suppose some of you can relate to that. But I don't know where that says in Scripture that there's a point in time when you quit. I'm on the stewardship committee at my church, and when you have to call around and you have to ask people to take them in the nominating committee, you have to ask people to take them. And I get that a lot. Well, I'm too old for that. There's some younger folks that should be doing this. And my same question to them is, where does it say that in Scripture? When you reach a certain age, you're done. Anyway, I'm not trying to put a guilt trip on you, but if it works, that's good. So, one of the things we realized early on is we need to know more about what's going on out there. So we've been doing questionnaires. We've started with the life chapters, and we're about a third of the way done. So we got a lot more to do. And when our new employee starts, they're going to be doing a lot of interviews. But don't be surprised if you haven't gotten the call in your life chapter that you'll get a call and we have a lot of questions to ask. You probably think I answered some of those same questions in my annual activity report, but we want that personal interaction because so much more can happen and we can learn so much more when we have that, so that we can help put together programs for you that will work. In fact, in my talk in the, whenever it is, Thursday, I think, I'm going to talk about one of those new concepts and things that we put together, and it's the playbook concept. We're going to give you some thoughts on how to implement some projects, and so we're talking about that. So I could go on and on, but maybe I should. No, I probably shouldn't. I'll quit. So if you have any questions about the front lines and things that you'd like to share that you think we should be doing, talk to Pastor Salemink. Maybe he'll share that with you. We really appreciate all your support out there. Life ministry couldn't be done without you out there on the front lines doing a lot of the work, and we so appreciate it, and thank the Lord for you.
Yeah, you guys are our success. Lutherans for Life does not sell a product. You are the product. So when there are gospel-motivated voices for life who are speaking God's truth and showing Christ's love about the sanctity of every human neighbor, that's when the organization has been a success. So this conference is as much a celebration of all that the Holy Spirit is doing through our organization as it is an opportunity to learn and grow. Our next department director is Deaconess Chrissy Gillet. And she's brought a special friend with her to help her tell about the wonderful work that Word of Hope is doing on your behalf.
Well, this is Phoebe, and she travels with me everywhere, and most of you probably remember her more than you remember me. And that's okay. We've traveled all over the place, and we were just at another conference, and they were like, "Oh, Phoebe, we saw her in DC last year, didn't we?" They didn't know who I was, but they saw her and they remember her. So that works. Whatever it takes to remember who we are. Anyway, well, I am Chrissy, and I'm the deaconess that is overseeing Word of Hope as the director, and we have been incredibly busy. It is the one ministry of Lutherans For Life that does direct care service. We get a lot of education, a lot of training out there about what life issues are through our other departments and avenues of educating people. But what happens is that people become aware that they are also suffering with life issues, or they have someone they love and care about that is suffering with a life issue, and they're just not sure what to do. Well, Word of Hope is here and available 24/7 for free for anyone who contacts us by phone, by email, by text message, and we're here to help them through those life issues, to help them with the Word of God, to have healing in Christ, to find peace from the amazing amount of shame and guilt and just brokenness that people are walking around with every day. It initially started out with surprise pregnancy and abortion recovery, and we have found that just like all of life is at the beginning and to the very end, then life issues happen from the beginning all the way to the very end, and even ever after with people who doubt salvation. So Word of Hope has expanded their services to cover all those life issues, and it has never been more important as it was during the pandemic when people were shut down. And even now, the services for mental health care, for spiritual care, have not rebounded to help people who are suffering. Even when there are some resources that are available, the resources and the finances or the insurance or even the local availability for people is incredibly limited and lacking. And so we're finding that they are calling prayer lines, and they're calling other helplines, and they're going to their pastors, and they're getting to us. And we are covering the phone and the email with an average of over 220 contacts a month. And I have been incredibly blessed this year to have two wonderful assistants part-time to help me out. And we have Janet over here, Deaconess Janet from Ohio, who's taking the phone 3 days a week, which has given me an amazing amount of break to be able to do the other tasks as director. And then we also have, so when you call and you hear another wonderful, comforting voice with the truth and love, you're getting Janet, right? But there's so much we couldn't do without having the connections and the networking and being in the public eye and having resources. And that is not possible without having someone who can take on the technology aspect. And while Scott has got all the other parts of LFL, I've been blessed with Lorelai, who's going to stand out, and she's taking on so much. Her like another education in technology. She's learned to take on so much new stuff, things that are beyond my talents and skills. We took the opportunity to offer a survey to leaders of different spiritual realms, whether they were teachers or principals or pastors or life team leaders. And we heard back from you about what life issues you have seen in the last year, what resources and topics that you have reached out to get to help you through those, and which ones you're lacking and that you want more of. And that has been valuable information for us. Word of Hope is taking on two really big initiatives over the next 2 years. One of them is to put out a suicide awareness, intervention, post-vention training. We've had a significant number of people contact the hotline that were suicidal. Some we helped coordinate to get being hospitalized. Some we connected with mental health providers and medication. All of them have connected with a pastor or a church congregation. And we have come to realize the incredible amount of people out there who are just hopeless. They do not know what to do with life. Now, I have a daughter who often tells me that life is hard, and that is very true. But it doesn't make it easy day to day when life is hard. You don't know how to carry how hard it is. So this training that we will be developing with lots of professional videos, it will be available on the learning management system. There'll be curriculum, there'll be an opportunity to engage with a leader, and it is to train each and every one of you how to be aware of those people who are struggling, how to intervene to save lives, and how to help support those who've gone through these challenges and difficulties. And Satan wants to hide them in the dark and keep them isolated and alone, and we as the body of Christ need to surround them and uphold them. So this training is going to be quite an endeavor that we are undertaking. So we are seeking some financial grants to help with this, for professional videos, for having some professional curriculum developed for an online class, and lots of little details are going to go in there. So that's one big piece that you will continue to hear about over the next year or two. The next big thing is we heard what you said about what you wanted more of. And so we have started a life issues awareness campaign for the next year. If you have been connected with us in any way, you have learned that we've put out a Bible study at the beginning of October, that we will have a podcast later, that Janet and I every Wednesday are reading scripture and praying with you and invite you to do that. Lorelai has done an amazing job of having this out on Facebook and just started a new Instagram, because we also realize that youth are experiencing life issues and the adults don't always know what to do to help them either. So we've coordinated with Michelle and we've put together some opportunities to help them and be more visible in the realm of the world that they're in. So if you haven't connected with us on Facebook or Instagram, then come show us at the table that you did, so we can put you in a drawing to win some of our materials as well. We want to make sure that you're aware of what we do. Well, let me see. I'm sure there's something here I'm forgetting, but let me just make sure. When Lutherans For Life changed their logo, the Word of Hope's logo had a portion of the LFL logo in it, because we wanted to be connected, even though we want to be known outside the realms of Lutheran circles, because we want to be able to share that truth even with those who aren't Lutheran and they are starving for it. But we also wanted those of you who know Lutherans For Life to recognize that we're connected with them. Well, when the logo changed, we had to up and change ours a little bit too. So when you come by the table, you'll see our new banner out with our new logo. And we're trying to get that out there with some marketing efforts as well. So you'll be seeing some more of us in social media. You'll see more of us on materials that are being put out. You'll be hearing us through our website, some updates and changes where we'll have podcasts, Bible studies, infographics, articles. And we are really making an effort to get those materials out there to help you struggling with life issues and to help you help others who are going through those life issues as well. So do please come by and check us out. If you know people who are struggling, or if you yourself are struggling, share Word of Hope. It is the only Lutheran hotline that is 24/7, that it is free, and as a psychologist and as a Christian, I'm going to say that mental health offers some care for the mind and the social relationships. And Christian counselors, sometimes they offer scripture in a way that makes people feel like they have to work harder to have healing. And then pastors do a great job of giving the word and the truth when people come to them for suffering, but they really aren't equipped to put it all together. And Word of Hope is the one place where we put together the complaints that people come to us that look like mental health, that we see the underlying spiritual condition that needs to be helped. We offer truth and love, and we offer in a way that addresses the suffering that they're going through. So thank you. If you know about us and if you're sharing us with others, and if you don't, please do, because we don't want to leave anyone out there in the dark suffering alone. Thank you.
So you want to commit this number to memory, 888-21-STORY, 888-21-STORY, 888-21-STORY. That's the Word of Hope hotline, where people can call and share their story of suffering and hear the story of God's love for them. 888-21-STORY. Thank you so much, Chrissy, and the work that Word of Hope is doing. They are saving lives. We would be telling you those stories, except to do that we have to violate confidentiality. But those stories, they're happening. Your support, your advocacy is actually saving lives on a regular basis, so we're super excited about that. Our longest serving director at Lutherans For Life is Kim Nessa, and she oversees our business department. And I trust that she's going to introduce to you some of her staff that are available with us as well. But Kim has been with us for close to 15 years. It feels like just a bunch of time.
I have to say sorry to my team because I'm the word person, or I'm the numbers person, not the words person. But I am the business director and accountant, and I have the most diverse team, I think, and probably the largest team. Our team works behind the scenes to fulfill our mission. Under our umbrella, we handle internal and external communications and events, all the accounting of funds, tracking and responding to calls and emails, and all the mass payments. Let me introduce my team, starting with Lowell Heidi. Just stand, Lowell. I don't want to say you know, and Lowell is our communication director, and he manages LFL External Communications, both printed and digital. This includes the LFL website, life date, directions, and the weekly email I know you love as Life Notes. Lowell has, I should say also that he has already been with us for 25 years. Erica Peterson. Erica's in back there. Working hard with a lot of my team also in getting this conference together. She coordinates our national and regional conferences, our staff and board retreats. She, and as you heard previously from Pastor Salemink, she's working right now this coming year in offering our adoption conference in Houston, Texas. And that will be in April in collaboration with Lutheran Family Services and the Christian Life Resources. Erica also assists volunteer relations with the Spotlight on Life marketing and events. Next we have Jan Nessa. Jan here? Where's Jan? She might be helping with registration. Anyway, Jan, Michelle, are you going to get it? Yeah. Wait just a second because mine's pretty short and sweet.
Nobody's getting off.
Okay, sounds good. We'll wait for her. Jan is our administrative assistant. If you called the office, sent an email to the information line, and mailed anything to LFL, Jan is your first contact with the smile and a friendly voice. She works closely with other departments to ensure the whole team has the materials they need, and she manages the mass mailings, including life date and directions. And our last one is Julie Carola. She is woman. She is our data assistant. She helps me with a lot of the billing and credit cards and other things. She helps also with our data and accounts payable processing and anything we ask her to do, and she's always has a willing spirit. So in addition to managing the team, as I said, I'm the accountant, and we track all the funds for the organization, they assist me with the annual audit, and I also issue remittances for our state federations and chapters. And I want to thank you so much for being here this week, and I hope you really enjoy your time that you can share with us. We appreciate you so much here at LFL.
All right, our last director is our Director of Development, Dave Probst, who is unable to be with us at this conference because he is ill. Boo, yes. The good news is it's really just a bad cold. He doesn't even have COVID or anything, but the doc did say you're probably pretty contagious, and the only thing we want to be catching at a Lutherans For Life conference is gospel motivation. So Dave is staying away, but you guys all know the wonderful work that Dave is doing. I would say that because of his direction, donations, contributions to support the work of Lutherans For Life are keeping pace with our expanding work, but that's backwards. Actually, the contributions that you are making, your support, are a mandate to us to continue expanding what we are doing. We are listening. God is providing richly for this, his ministry, and so we are chasing all of the opportunities that we can, and you've heard from all of our different departments the ways in which you are making a huge difference. Dave has, to my recollection, one other staff person in his department, two other staff persons in his department. The first is, oh yeah, that's three.
Yeah.
See, this is why I don't, they're like, you guys just need to, you stay in the corner office, Pastor Salemink. We'll take care of all the hard stuff. So, yes, in Dave's department, we have our Director of Donor Relations. That is Jerry Richard. She manages... I would say she manages our donor database, but that is such an anemic description of what she does. She actually helps manage all of our interfacing with our donors and helps us capture information about that. Dave's assistant, development assistant, is Kevin Nessa. There he is. And Kevin helps Dave with forming relationships with all of you guys and keeping in contact with all of our donors. So who's the one I'm forgetting?
Katie.
Duh. How could I forget Katie? She's the second longest serving member of the Lutherans For Life team. And the most important contribution that Katie makes to Lutherans For Life is her hugs, her encouragement, and her being the task mistress who makes sure to keep everybody in line. Don't forget to turn on the recording. It's time to send the mails. If you get a letter, an acknowledgement letter for your gift from the office, that came through Katie's hands. There are three things I feel about being able to serve and direct and lead this Lutherans For Life staff. The first is grateful. I'm eternally grateful to God for the amazing, wonderful people that He has provided to carry out this ministry. They really are the strength of what we do. I don't think you guys realize what a wonderful treasure we have in the staff of Lutherans For Life, how much they are able to accomplish, but most of all, the gospel-motivated spirit of courage and compassion that they do that with. It sets us apart from every other Sanctity of Life ministry and organization in the United States, and you can be especially proud of that, which is the second thing that I feel. about our staff. Exceptionally proud of every single one of the people and all of the things that God is doing through them, but the ways that they're able to enrich the relationships that we share with each other and that we share with you in what we experience. And the third thing that I feel is delight, because it is really fun actually to work together with these folks as my brothers and sisters and as colleagues serving in the trenches of very important work and sometimes very difficult work. I can absolutely say there is not any one of them that I would rather be working with somebody else. And your Lutherans for Life team is exceptionally healthy and responsible, and you can be grateful for all of that. So please, another round of applause for our entire Lutherans for Life team. Please do introduce yourself to them. If you see them around the conference in the next couple of days, they want to get to know you, and you will be better for getting to know them. I do want to take a moment to introduce to you also our board of directors. We spent all day in meetings. They do that hard, unpleasant work so that you don't have to. But our board of directors does a fantastic job of setting the vision and leading this organization. First of all, our board president, Diane Albers. I saw Diane and Mike come in. They might have slipped out because they just got here a little bit ago, but we're blessed to have Diane. Our vice president, Keith Haney. Pastor Keith Haney is unable to be with us because he had a flood in his home. Some sort of plumbing crisis that he has to be there to take care of. So we miss having Keith with us. Our board secretary, Dr. Roni Grad. You got to stand up, Roni, sorry. Roni comes to us from our Western Division, Tucson, Arizona. Our board treasurer, Mr. Ron Soule. Ron comes to us from very close to Lansing in Michigan. Let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, the 4 officers. I want to make sure I get everybody. So I'm just going to go with who I see. Mr. Ed Zito. Ed is part of our southeastern contingent, coming to us from Winter Garden, Florida. That makes me think of our other Eastern Division contingent, Reverend Dr. Dennis DeMauro. Dennis is also Lutherans for Life's regular representative on the National Pro-Life Religious Council, which is super convenient because Dennis lives in suburban Washington, D.C., where the NPRC meets on a regular basis. That's 6 folks. The other member of our southeastern contingent, the Colonel Reverend Dr. John Eidsmoe. From Alabama. His partner in the criminal justice end of things, John Talley. John comes to us from north central-ish Illinois. And what am I at? 1, 2, 3, 4. You guys got to keep count for me. Deaconess Pam Nielsen. She comes from the Holy City, St. Louis, Missouri. Diana Vaughn. Part of our southern contingent from Ponca City, Oklahoma. Catherine Pietrantonio and her compatriot, Kim Berry. Both of those young professional ladies are from Wisconsin, but Kat has a newborn that she brought with her, James. And he has different sleeping needs. Maybe his sleep needs are very similar to the rest of us, but I'm sure that she and Kim are tending to them right now. Our state federation president representatives on the board, Pastor Paul Clark from Fowler, Michigan, who also happens to be the president of the Federation Presidents, and Reverend Dennis Norby, who comes to us from North Dakota. I'm sure the place where he lives has a name, but North Dakota just sort of all runs together, so. Dennis would like to tell you very much about how he has seen the hand of the Lord active in his family over the past few weeks, and he has a really wonderful story to share. I haven't got everybody yet, have I, Scott? Oh, Alice! Alice Stelgis. Comes to us from the Auburn, Illinois area. I think Alice doesn't, that's where her church is, but I don't think she lives actually in Auburn. It's the great state of Illinois. Did I forget anyone else? Dave's not on the board of directors. He is a federation president. No, I was talking about our federation president representatives on the board. Dave Botdorf is a wonderful pastor who serves as president of our Illinois State Federation. I could also introduce Bob Sager, who's president of our Nebraska Federation. Let's see, our president from Montana State Federation is not with us. Who is the new president of Iowa?
Daniel Lindemeyer.
Is he here with us?
He's
okay,
here.
well, stand up for crying out loud.
There.
Hardly any of us met yet. Yes, our new Iowa Federation president. I just met him a couple of weeks ago up in Cedar Rapids. That's why his name is escaping me.